Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboycetv.com. This is the home for intelligent Black people. You know what? I got up this morning and I had some crazy thoughts. Sometimes, a lot of stuff floods my brain in the morning because that's when your mind is actually most active. And I went through my phone and I was looking at the Facebook page for my old track team, which was called the West Side Track Club. And I went through and I found a gem of an old picture I want to share with you guys. And I'm gonna show you this picture here. This is this cool picture is myself in the front, along with three guys that I was on a relay team with. And I'm gonna tell you why this is significant to me and what this actually means. And it's significant to you not because of the picture. I mean, why would you care about my life as a high school kid? But it's significant to you in the sense that there was a valuable lesson to be picked up from on this. First thing I want to point to, though, just real quick. You notice we're all wearing our medals. And the reason we're wearing medals here is because we had just went to Canada and won first place in the 4x400 meter relay. And I think we got second in the 4x1. And these were really fast guys. This is Greg Wilkins. Greg was my best friend right here in the black. He was my best buddy. And unfortunately, he was killed at the age of 25. In front of his daughter, shot in the head. It was a terrible thing. Happened in Louisville. I'm still mad at the Louisville police because they didn't properly investigate the death of my friend. I feel like they did a piss poor job with that. This is Monty Hobbs. Monty was a great sprinter, amazing. And this was Reggie Wilkins. Reggie was Greg's brother. Now, let me tell you about Reggie and Greg. Reggie and Greg were two of the fastest guys in the city. And Reggie actually went on to become state champion in the 100 meter dash and the 200 meter dash, and not just state champion, but state record holder. He actually held the state record in Kentucky for maybe 7-8 years in the 100 meter dash. The record was eventually broken, if I'm not mistaken, actually by former world record holder Tyson Gay. So that's how fast Reggie was. That's how talented he was. He was amazingly talented. Now, here's the crazy part. Here's the part that's really going to freak you out. So Greg was as fast as Reggie. Reggie became the state record holder. So these two, whoever, you never could predict who was going to win between these two. They were very close, but Greg was a year older. So Reggie goes on, becomes state record holder, and Monty right here in the middle was actually faster than both of them. He was faster than both of them. He actually came to track practice once. The problem was he didn't want to come to practice and he didn't like track that much. He liked basketball. Basketball was his first love. So we'd say, well, where's Monty? Why isn't Monty coming to track practice? And they say, oh, he's doing basketball now. Now, so here's a story to tell you, how fast Monty was. So remember, Reggie became the state record holder, fastest sprinter in the history of the state of Kentucky. And Monty shows up to practice, and we had to run the 400 meter dash, which is not a race that you just run without any training. But Monty shows up, and he's wearing these big clunky Air Jordan shoes because he loved basketball. And now we had track shoes. Track shoes are lighter. You can run faster, whatever. So Monty's sitting on the side, and the coach says, hey, Monty, why don't you get up and run a 400 with us? And he gets up, and he agrees to run it with us. And we all run, and there's four of us, and I'm just mortified because I'm running with three of the fastest dudes like ever. I wouldn't as fast as any of these guys. And we're just running, and I remember watching Monty just zip past all of us, and he blew us all away, and it kind of just freaked me out that this guy could come off of, just come off the street and outrun the fastest sprinter in the history of the state of Kentucky. So here's what's interesting about that. Monty could have been a great track sprinter, right? But he loved basketball, but he wasn't that great at basketball. He was okay, but he wasn't as good at basketball as he was at track. So he was clearly, in my opinion, in the wrong sport. Now, let me tell you about myself. I was, at that time, I didn't know it at the time, but in hindsight, I look back at that picture and I understand it now. I was the smart guy, right? I became a professor, so I was a smart guy. I didn't know I was going to be a professor at the time. I didn't even know I was a smart guy at the time. But in hindsight, I look back and I say, I think I was the smart guy. I also wasn't just the smart guy. I was the hardworking guy. I was the good kid. So when the coaches would say, they would say, I'll talk about Boyce. They're like, oh, Boyce is a good kid. He's a good kid. He works hard. So they would like pick me to be like team captain, or if they needed to make sure that the ice got to the van, they would tell me to do it because they knew I would take care of it. I don't know. That's just what my role was. Everybody has roles. Sometimes you don't figure it out till 20, 30 years later. But here's the thing. Track was not my thing. I was okay. I was fast enough to be on a relay team with these three guys, which was, I mean, amazing because these guys were awesome. But I was faster than pretty much everyone I knew, most of my friends, but I couldn't outrun these guys, right? And when I would compete against the best sprinters in the state, I would get my ass kicked, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And so because I was getting my butt kicked by the best sprinters, and I couldn't run with the best, and I wanted to be the best, I would practice. I would everybody else would practice. One time at track practice, I would run in the morning, I would run at practice, and then I would run again at night. I was lifting weights in the off season. I was reading books on how to sprint. So I knew everything about proper form, what shoes to wear. These guys ran off talent. I don't know if they knew all that stuff, right? And so I was clearly in the wrong sport too, right? So just like Monty was in the wrong sport, he was in basketball when he should have been focusing maybe on track. I was in track when maybe I should have been playing golf or something, right? I think if I'd been as equally determined at golf, I could have, become an amazing golfer because of all that hard work I was putting in, all that concentration I was putting in, right? So, but track is largely genetics, especially sprinting. That's why when you watch the Olympic finals of the 100-meter dash, you almost never see anybody in there who's not black, because black people have amazing genetics, right? For various reasons, but we're pretty extraordinary people. Now, here's the thing. Here's the point I want to make to you. Sometimes in life, you may really be trying really hard at something, and you're not getting what you want, right? You're not succeeding at whatever it is you're trying to do, whether it's, trying to start a certain kind of business, trying to succeed in a certain profession, trying to succeed in a certain sport, trying to make a certain relationship work. You're doing everything right, but you're getting the wrong outcomes. And sometimes it's not because you're a failure or that you're inadequate. Sometimes it's because you're in the wrong fucking sport. Some of us go through life in the wrong sport. So you bust your butt, you work your ass off, you're constantly banging your head, you're constantly coming up short, you're pissed off all the time because nothing's working out. You feel damn near cursed. When really, sometimes you're just in the wrong sport, and so, I can't begin to tell you how many times I've heard about businesses that started off as abysmal failures and made a tiny pivot and became enormously successful. Twitter, for example, was in the wrong sport. They had this whole big suite of apps and everything that they'd launched. And the tweets were an afterthought. They weren't even thinking about the tweets. They were thinking about all the other functionality. Well, the company that released the original product failed miserably. Nobody wanted it. But what they realized was that people loved the tweets. So they said, okay, well, let's just center the whole company around the tweets. Next thing you know, Twitter's worth billions and billions of dollars. So when I look at this picture, I think about a couple of things. One, you got to find your sport. Or you can even think about it in terms of love and relationships. I don't know if you've ever gone through a situation where, you showed up as the right person, but you were with the wrong person. You were illustrating the best kind of love that there is to somebody who didn't deserve it, right? You were being the best partner in the world to somebody who was not worthy of your best when it came to love, right? And then you made a pivot and you get into the right sport by picking the right person, and then suddenly everything clicks because suddenly you're giving your best love to somebody who deserves it, who appreciates it, who can reciprocate that, right? And so the same thing that goes with loving another person, I think it goes into loving yourself. I think it comes into loving your goals, achieving your economic dreams or whatever. A lot of self-knowledge, one of the keys to success starts with self-awareness, figuring out what sport you're supposed to be in. And so I go back and I look at that, and I think, man, if I could have went back and talked to that kid, and I think that kid in that picture, Boyce, is about 17 or 18 years old, I would probably just say to him, look, buddy, you're a good kid. You're a hardworking kid, but you're in the wrong sport. Let's figure out who you are and get you into the right sport. Same thing is true for Monty. I would have got him in the right sport. Now the one thing, the other good thing though, about being in the wrong sport, about bumping my head against the wall, and about, constantly failing, because I felt like a miserable failure because I was doing everything possible to become successful, but it wasn't working, was that hard work and determination and persistence I learned from trying to do something that in hindsight was probably close to impossible to do, to try to become as fast as these guys without really having the genetics to pull that off. That actually prepared me for life. There's nothing like, I remember when I ran track, we would go out and have practices in 95-degree heat and run for 2 or 3 hours and sometimes run until you threw up. And it was the most terrible feeling in the world, but it made me really tough. It made me really determined. I learned a lot of values from sports that applied to a lot of the things I do now. The same guy that you see in that picture who's running his ass off on the track, trying to keep up and trying to become successful on the track, is the same guy you're listening to right now, who's running his ass off every day, training his butt off. Right now it's 7:18 in the morning because I got up at 6 on a Saturday when I didn't even have to get up. That I'm the same guy now that I was back then. I'm just a little bit more mature, right? I'm like that guy's father, right? And so don't think that the things you fail at are a waste of time. Don't think that, if you go into that bad relationship and you gave it the best you had and you worked on self-awareness and becoming the best partner you could be, and it didn't work, don't think that that's a failure, because what will often happen is that struggle, that strain, that stress, that perceived failure that you have in one arena becomes your black girl, black man magic when you go into another arena, right? You can literally become magical in another space once the lid comes off. So let me tell you what happened with this kid in this picture. So he was very frustrated. He busted his butt, when it came to track. He busted his butt, every day in practice, and was running his ass off. And he was always sad. He was always, I remember just crying on the side of the track one day because I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get faster no matter how hard I tried. Well, guess what? I got to college and I got into the right sport, which was academics, which is thinking. My brain was actually my greatest asset. I just didn't know it because I was a black man. Nobody teaches that to young black men. And I applied that same work ethic to my academics. I applied that same determination, that same persistence, etc. And I became the absolute greatest college student on the entire campus. When I went to the University of Kentucky, I was the #1 ranked finance student on the entire campus, and I was the #1 black student on the campus. I went on to get a PhD. I became the only African-American on earth that year, in the year 2002, when I finished my doctorate. I was the only black man on the planet to get a PhD in finance that year. I wish there had been others, and I knew some of the others, but they didn't make it to the finish line, right? So what I'm saying to you guys is, look, there are no mistakes. There are no mistakes, but there are mistakes. And what does that mean? That means that you can optimize through self-awareness, by learning what sport you're supposed to be in. There is such a thing as thinking things through, making a plan, figuring out who you are, finding your bliss, figuring out your destiny, etc. There's value to that. So you can't just be fatalistic about life and just say, well, I'm gonna let the chips fall where they may, because sometimes the chips may not fall where you want them to fall. So in that regard, there can be mistakes in the sense of not finding your sport early in life. But then when I say that there are no mistakes, what do I mean by that? Well, it means that even when you make a mistake, if you translate that mistake into a lesson, into a superpower, that stress, that strain, that trauma can become your superpower. And when you take that superpower into another arena and you find the right fit, then you become magical. You become extraordinary. You can become amazing. Like I'll tell you what, there's if you think about just relationships, for example, the most amazing people in relationships, a lot of times, the most kind, caring, most sensitive people in many cases are the people who've been frustrated in a bad relationship with somebody who didn't appreciate all the great things they did. So they learned how to be the absolute best person they could be. And that really worked when they got into the right relationship where that love was being reciprocated. Right. Or for myself, I was so frustrated with track and just doing everything I could and constantly banging my head against the wall. So when I got to a situation where the wall actually moved, when I banged my head against it, I became really, really good, world class at what I did. I wouldn't have become as great at the other things I did in life if I had not failed in the things that I originally wanted to do. So I just want you to understand how to contextualize your failure, how to understand the importance of self-awareness. I believe that the most successful people in the world tend to be people who know who the hell they are, what they like, what they don't like, where they want to be, where they don't want to be, and who also have the building blocks of what it means to be great. If you do those two things, I think you can't lose. So pick the right sport and be damn good at it. So that's why I shared this picture with you guys today. I hope that this helps some of you. I'm going to get on out of here. By the way, if you haven't taken a look, I actually have a whole program in the Black Business School on goal setting, time management, motivation, overcoming obstacles, dealing with haters, all this stuff. I put it all together into a package. You guys asked for it, so I put it together for you if you want to take a look. It's blackkeystogreatness.com. That's blackkeystogreatness.com. I think the first month is free, or it's like $1 or something. So feel free to give it a try, and just maybe it'll help you out, because I think that the best thing I could have used at that time was some mentorship and some guidance and some inspiration, because I spent a lot of years being really sad, and it's very sad when you kind of don't know your purpose and don't think you have anything great inside of you, but you want to be great. You want to be good at something, and I wish I'd known those things back then, because I there's so many things I could tell that kid in that picture that would make his life much better. But some of these things, sometimes you don't find these things out until later. So try to find your bliss as early as possible so you can know who the hell you are, and go out here and conquer the world. So take care, guys. I'm out of here. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Business School. Please hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button. And like I said, the URL is blackkeystogreatness.com. Feel free to go check it out. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.